Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to really get into Dutch military intelligence.
That's right.
We've got some interesting material here. It looks like some official info that should give us a good picture of the militaire inlichtingen on Veiligheidsdienst, the MIVD.
Hmm.
So the plan is to sort of unpack what they actually do, look at their history a bit, and touch on some more recent stuff that's come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important, isn't it, understanding these kinds of organizations in today's world? This should give everyone a pretty solid overview.
Definitely feels like navigating a maze sometimes with all these agencies.
It can, yeah. So we'll focus just on the MIVD, see where it fits in the Netherlands security picture and how it's changed over the years.
Okay, let's jump in. First things first. What is the MIVD, fundamentally?
Well, the full name, as you said, is Militaire Inlichtingen on Veiligheidsdienst. That translates to Military Intelligence and Security Service. And it's exactly what it sounds like, the military intelligence agency for the Netherlands. Crucially, it operates under the Ministry of Defense.
Okay, so strictly military focus then. Or mostly.
Pretty much. Its main job is military intelligence. And that's a key difference from, say, the AIVD.
Ah, yes, the General Intelligence and Security Service. They're the civilian side.
Exactly. The AIVD answers to the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations, handles more general national security intelligence, different lanes,
Got it. So MIVD will about military, AIVD will civilian general.
That's the basic split.
And the material mentions a motto for the MIVD. Something about truth.
Yeah, it does. Meritum in veritatem discernendo.
It means?
Merit in discerning the truth. It really speaks to the core challenge, doesn't it? Sifting through everything to find what's real, what matters.
A tough job for any intelligence service, I imagine.
Definitely.
Okay, so that's the MIVD now, but it didn't just appear out of thin air. What's the history here? Where did it come from?
Well, the documents trace it back quite a long way. The precursor, apparently, was something called GS III, formed just before World War I.
Wow, okay. Pre-World War One.
Yeah, the very beginning of Dutch intelligence, it seems. Then after World War II, that evolved. It became LAMID, the Army Intelligence Service.
LAMID, so very Army-centric at first.
It seems that way initially, yeah. But then things changed. There's a big government reform in 1986.
What happened then?
They decided to bring the intelligence functions of the Navy, Army, and Air Force together. That led to the Military Intelligence Service. So starting to consolidate.
Right, pulling things together for, I guess, better coordination, efficiency?
Exactly. Seems like a move towards a more unified approach. And that didn't stop there.
Oh, more changes.
Yeah, between 1989 and 1990, they unified the branches within the Mint even further, trying to make it a stronger single service.
Okay, makes sense.
Then in 2002, we get the name change to MIVD.
The name we use today, was that just a rebrand?
Not entirely, it seems. It looks like it signaled a shift in focus, too. Recognizing new challenges beyond traditional military threats. Things like terrorism, cybersecurity, the sort of 21st century issues.
Adapting to the times.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The nature of threats was changing, so the service had to change too. Probably affected who they hired, how they trained people, all that stuff.
It's always fascinating how these organizations evolve, isn't it? Constantly reacting, and they have a physical base somewhere.
They do. The document mentions they're located at the Frederick Barracks in The Hague.
Gives it a sense of place.
Yeah, the central headquarters.
Okay, so we know what it is, where it came from. Now, the really core question, what are they actually tasked with doing day to day? What's their mission?
Right. The material lays out several key tasks. Number one, maybe the most obvious for a military intelligence agency, is collecting info on potential adversaries.
Meaning?
Understanding other countries' military forces, their capabilities, intentions, mapping the strategic environment.
Standard stuff. You need to know who's out there and what they can do.
Exactly. Then second, they gather intelligence in places where Dutch troops might be sent, especially for peacekeeping missions.
Ah, so intelligence to directly support deployed forces.
Yeah, very practical. Vital for keeping troops safe and making sure missions are effective.
Crucial. What else is on their plate?
They also look into issues involving officers within the Dutch army itself. And they collect information to prevent harm to the army. So sort of an internal security role, too.
Interesting. Kind of internal affairs meets counterintel?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the big ones today. Counterterrorism and counterespionage.
Yeah, you can't avoid those in the current climate.
Definitely major priorities.
Hmm.
And finally, there's a sort of catch-all phrase in the document.
Oh, yeah.
It says they handle other military matters as determined by the government.
So some flexibility built in to tackle whatever comes up.
Looks like it. Allows them to adapt if the government identifies new defense or security priorities.
Okay. That's a broad range of responsibilities. Lots of power, lots of sensitive information. How is this organization overseen? What about accountability?
Yeah, really important point. The document outlines a few layers of oversight. First, there's the political responsibility. The MIVD answers to the Minister of Defense.
Okay, so direct accountability to a government minister.
That's the primary line. But there are other checks, too.
Like what?
There's a parliamentary committee. It's made up of leaders from the main political parties in the House of Representatives. It's called the Inlichtingen on Veiligheidsdiensten Committee.
Sort of a cross-party watchdog group within Parliament?
Pretty much. They keep an eye on things, ask questions, ensure the services operate within democratic norms.
Okay. Ministerial and parliamentary oversight. Anything else?
Yes. There's also an independent body, the Oversight Committee. The CDIVD Commissie van Toezicht op die Inlichtingen Veiligheidsdiensten.
CTIVD.
And they're independent?
Appointed by the House of Representatives, but designed to act as an independent watchdog, reviewing what the intelligence services do. And presumably there's a legal framework, too.
Absolutely. Everything they do is supposed to be governed by the law on the intelligence and security services from 2002. The Wet op die Inlichtingen on Veiligheidsdiensten 2002.
Okay, so multiple layers. Minister, Parliament, Independent Committee, and the law itself.
That's the structure, yeah. Designed for checks and balances.
Now, moving on slightly, the information we have also brings up something more recent and quite controversial, the business about recruiting journalists.
Yes, that definitely caused a stir. This came out in 2024. Reports surfaced that both the MIVD and the AIVD were allegedly recruiting journalists to act as agents.
Journalists working for the intelligence services, domestically and abroad.
That was the allegation, yes. And apparently payment was involved.
Wow. That immediately sounds problematic. Was this confirmed anywhere?
Well, the document indicates that the CTIVD, that oversight committee we just mentioned, actually acknowledged this practice in one of its reports.
So the independent watchdog confirmed it was happening.
It seems so. That gave the reports a lot more weight, obviously.
I can imagine. How did the journalism community react?
Not well, as you might expect. The material quotes the head of the Dutch Association of Journalists, Thomas Bruning. He apparently said, "I am ashamed of those who cooperate with this."
Strong words.
Very. It points to a real ethical conflict, doesn't it? The idea of journalists who rely on independence and public trust secretly working for spy agencies.
Yeah, it fundamentally undermines that trust, potentially. Did the CDIVD have anything more to say about it, besides confirming it?
They did raise concerns, according to the document. Their criticism focused on the risks involved,
Risks to whom?
particularly the risks to the journalists themselves, especially if they were operating as agents in dangerous countries abroad. The CTIVD apparently felt the MIVD and AIVD hadn't properly weighed those risks.
So it's not just about the ethics of journalism, but also about the duty of care the agencies might have towards these individuals and the potential fallout if they get caught.
Exactly. It adds another really difficult dimension to the whole issue. Safety, responsibility, potential blowback.
Well, this has been a really insightful look. We've covered quite a bit what the MIVD is, how it evolved from way back before World War I.
Yeah, through LAMID, MID, to the MIVD today at the Frederick Barracks.
Right. And we looked at its core tasks: military intel, mission support, counterterrorism, counterespionage.
And that internal security aspect, too. Plus the oversight mechanisms, the minister, parliament, the CTIVD, the law.
And then this recent, very complex issue involving journalists.
Definitely complex.
So hopefully you listening now have a much clearer picture of this significant Dutch intelligence agency drawing on the information we've gone through.
Yeah, a solid foundation for understanding its role, its history, and some of the challenges it faces in that democratic context.
And maybe that leaves us with something to think about. Considering everything, especially that journalist controversy, how do you see the balance between a country's need for security intelligence and the vital role of a free, independent press? Where do you draw the line? It's certainly not an easy question, something to mull over.